Many of us have experienced the illness of a loved one or known someone who has. What most of us are unprepared for, however, is the physical, emotional, and financial toll an unexpected illness can cause. Families often don't know what to do or how to seek answers. Years ago, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease and subsequently required nursing home placement. I personally experienced the fear and confusion family members face. This film's purpose is to help others in the same situation. You'll meet real people who'll be painfully honest about these trying aspects of a loved one's illness.
She had passed away that night. And, you know, as much as I cared for her and everything, I was relieved. Because I knew that wasn't the same gal that I married. She was just entirely, she was gone already in my mind. You know, it came on very, very gradual. Little things that I thought were funny were serious. Like when she'd, she had driven the ball, and then she'd ask me, did I hit my ball yet, and I'd laugh. And it was tough because, boy, I'll tell you, could have never have found a more beautiful, more intelligent person in the world, and I thank the Lord every day.
I have a sister, Janine Lazinski, who had a brain aneurysm, and she's 45 years old. She had surgery to repair the aneurysm. She also had a stroke during the surgery. My sister cognitively is pretty alert. She can communicate with us. She prefers questions where she has to answer yes or no because she doesn't really want to, I think, put out that effort, or maybe she can't get her thoughts together.
It hit me right in the face. The only thing I ever knew about Alzheimer's was what I heard what was happening to President Reagan. And then he just started doing weird things. And he would sit and he would just kind of look in outer space. And sometimes he would not answer questions that were very simple.
She fell in the kitchen, hit her head again. At this point, the doctor rushed. We had an MRI done on her and found that she had 2 blood clots on top of each other. The doctor's prognosis was we had to operate. This really incapacitated her.
My husband, Norman, he had so many different things wrong with him. He had some dementia. He couldn't swallow. He had to have a feeding tube. We would notice that he would forget things that he should have known, but there were just certain things. He did not remember the address of this house, but he could remember the address of the house that we lived in 50 years ago. He couldn't remember how long we were married. One time it would be 17 years, the next time it would be 21 years. There were times when he would forget my name. Well, who are you? What are you doing here?
She was about 81 when she had the stroke, and it affected her ability to walk. She was very kind, level-headed, common sense kind of person. I just loved her. I miss her.
We had no warning. She was fine. She played golf Monday, the day before, and Tuesday she worked around the yard. Georgia felt a pain in the back of her head, something popped. That was it. She never spoke another word. She had a brain aneurysm. They showed me how a brain aneurysm looks, and then it pops, and there was a lot of blood in the brain, and they had to drain the blood. Never said that she would ever be, eventually the word came out, semi-vegetative. I never, they never mentioned that, but I got to know that word.
And then when Lucille gets sick, it's not that she gets sick in a couple of days you can get better. She tells us, Lou, I want to go home. I keep telling Lucille, you can't go home. She still doesn't know that she's going to be there for the rest of her life.
All of these illnesses, whether sudden or gradual, eventually take their toll on the family members as symptoms increase. Some family members literally have to adapt their lives to suit the illness, sometimes to a point where their own lives suffer.
I had to get a hospital bed. had to modify the bathroom. And what I mean by modify, there are things for the toilet. You have to put a raised toilet seat. You have to install bars for them, grab bars everywhere. You gotta have grab bars. For their bath, you have to provide chairs that you sit in the tub where they can sit on the edge, swing their feet around. You no longer can have a shower head above. That's not going to accommodate. That has to be modified. The kitchen had to be modified. Certain appliances had to be brought down to waist level. They no longer can reach that far anymore.
Well, I can't take care of her. I've been living like this the last 6, 7 years. I have to watch her all day, and I go bowling, I go golfing. I've been doing all the stuff. In fact, the last 6 years I've been doing all the cooking. She hasn't done a thing.
We had one woman that told us, this was with our in-home program, she hadn't been out of the house except to take her husband to the doctor for several years. And we came into the home and she had arranged, and we had someone come into the home to take care of her loved one. And she said, all I'm going to do is go sit in my car. She said, I never get a chance to just sit in my car and read a magazine, and so that's what I'm going to do. So for the first few times we came, that's literally what she did. We finally encouraged her, you know, get out and go to lunch or go shopping, do what you need to do. We will take care of your husband. And so eventually she did, and she was able to get out and get a lot done. But just that break, just that time away can be very important for families.
Families often have to care for their loved ones as long as possible on their own. But there comes a day when it is no longer realistic and assisted living or nursing home care is the only choice. This is another forgotten trauma. When you have to decide to put your loved one in a nursing home, it can be devastating for many, to say the least, and the emotional and financial burdens cannot be understated.
So I could not really take care of her anymore. With the doctor's recommendation, he said it was time for her to be in a nursing home.
Having a placement in a nursing home is one of the most devastating decisions that they have to make. And it's tough, it's a tough decision. Sometimes, in my opinion, they probably wait too long.
My 4 sister-in-laws said, Lou, you can't do this. You got to take it to a nursing home. And I felt real guilty. In fact, I still feel a little guilty in a way, although it's better for her.
You're again caught in an emotional turmoil because it's like, I'm taking my mom and throwing her in this place. It brings back all these things that you've seen in movies. Locked away in a dungeon, a dark, cold place, being mistreated.
When she went in there, it just devastated me, you know. And I was worried about the care because, you know, you hear so many things about these nursing homes.
No nursing home is that great. They were shorthanded many times. I would help feed her. I would help change her even, because a lot of times it was just like 1 aide at night. I would offer to help, and they were glad that I would help.
I myself, years ago, and I could walk into the first floor of a nursing home, but unless you've gone up on the second floor, you won't know. You have to make quite a thorough, inspection. And I think the average person is a little intimidated by that. I try to make people not be so fearful and anxious about nursing home placement. I will explain to them what it's like, what they do, and what to look for in a nursing home, and usually give them a list, point out the ones that I feel are the best in this area. And I've even helped place many people in nursing homes, and they've done very well.
I wanted it to be clean. I wanted it to smell good. I wanted to see the staffing. I wanted to talk to patients. I wanted to talk to family members. I wanted to know more than just what the foyer looked like. I wanted to see the halls. I wanted to see the people eating. I wanted to know what kind of food they were served. I wanted behind the scenes. Don't just let me in the door.
I was looking for the ratio of aides and nurses to the patient. I was looking at the facilities in their dining room, in their kitchens, and whether there was enough social activities going on that he could maybe take part in anything that he wanted to.
We found a lot of activity going on in this one nursing home. A lot of stimulus, a lot of activities. Playing games, walking with each other down the hall. The staff encouraged it.
I went to at least 12 nursing homes. When you walk in, I'm looking for the odor. That's the first thing I notice. when you walk down the hall if there's any odor around. And the minute I walked in there, they took me around, there was no odor or anything else, and the nurses were very friendly. I said right away, this is the place for me. So it took about 3 weeks before they had an opening for me.
We finally got her into that nursing home. And then things got to be better. At first she wanted to go home all the time. She'd say, when are we going home? When am I going home? When am I going home? After a while she became adjusted to it. She became friendly with the staff and things like that. And it was the greatest place for her to be.
You could eat off the floor, and there's no horrible odor like there is in most nursing homes. The food is so good that I tried to take a little bit of Bob's pie one time, and he went and jabbed me with a fork. They put up with more than you can imagine. In fact, my husband would go here for 6 to 8 weeks without taking a shower or shaving. It got to the point where nobody wanted to come to my house. Over there, they have to sedate him twice a week just to get him in the shower.
For me, the most important thing is a nursing home that you can go visit. You got to be able to go visit mom and dad, because that's really what they want. They want to see you. The more you visit, the more the nurses see you, the more that they know that you're involved. I really think that's when you're going to be getting the best care. But the next thing that you really should do is find a nursing home that will give your loved one respect. They've been through wars, maybe the Depression, seen family members die. They deserve to be treated with respect.
An invaluable ally on a family's team must be an attorney with expertise in elder law. The unfortunate truth is that there is an endless amount of misinformation, confusion, and incompetence in all areas, from legal to medical to governmental. A family's burden can be substantially lightened from the peace of mind of having specific legal counsel.
The expense was unbelievable. I couldn't believe how much they did cost. And then when you do get there, then there is a lot of hidden expenses that you are billed for and you are expected to pay. I just think that we need to take better care of our elderly, and what do we do for people who can't afford it?
And for some reason they think that the most expensive nursing home is the best, and generally it's not.
I had an attorney, he tried to do the best thing, he didn't know anything. He even told me he was going to go to a seminar.
And a lot of the attorneys will tell them that there's no help available, or they don't know what to do, or they tell them something but they really don't know how to implement a plan. And that really, it's not their fault, it's just that they don't know, and they don't know where to turn.
I wouldn't say that the social worker that I dealt with was as helpful as I wish she would have been. She kind of just said, well, go ahead and do this.
Would you go to the IRS and have them fill out your income tax, you know? I mean, that makes sense, you know.
I made so many mistakes that I didn't even know I was making, because I think I trust Social Security. Well, they gave me the wrong form. I hear I'd done all this legwork and I was spinning my wheels, and I was still going in the wrong direction. So I firmly, through my experience, would recommend an elder care attorney to anyone.
You just can't go to a book and learn this stuff. You have to live it. You have to live it. You have to be with the families. You have to go through what the families have gone through.
I was very ignorant in the laws of nursing care, Medicaid, Medicare. I heard all these stories about what you had to do before you could get any assistance, financial assistance of any kind.
The areas of law that our families are faced with nursing home, it's such a complex area. And if you don't specialize, you're going to miss stuff. I was a lawyer for probably 10 years doing wills and trusts before I even heard about Medicaid planning. I was in court every single day, and I went to the seminars all the time. I read the books on it. Nobody even knew that Medicaid planning or VA planning was even available.
I thought if she got approved for Medicaid that they could send her anywhere. They could send her to Toledo, or they could send her to downriver, wherever there's a Medicaid bed. And I wasn't going to have none of that.
they're deathly afraid of Medicaid nursing homes, and it's such an unwarranted fear. You go into the nursing home, we can get you on Medicaid, we can protect your life savings.
Nobody from Medicaid tells me what to do. I haven't even talked to anybody.
It's vitally necessary to, even at the level we were at, to set up an estate planning, power of attorney, patient advocate, a will. It cuts a lot of red tape.
What a medical and a financial power of attorney is a document that says, hey, I pick somebody to help me make my medical decisions if I can't make them. I pick someone that can go to the bank for me and sell my car if I need to and do my tax returns. And if you don't have those documents, you have to get involved with the probate court. Probate court isn't the nastiest place in the world, but it's so much easier if you can do it without having the court involved.
And if you have problems with staff at these places, nursing homes, hospitals, independent living, whatever it is, you've got the power to request, demand information. To be ignorant going into this, you're not doing your loved one a favor.
With so much of the family's attention on their loved one's care, the family members themselves often suffer. They allow themselves to become emotionally and physically exhausted, and they may neglect their own social activities and even not eat properly. They become depressed. This is how the families are left behind in the wake of a loved one's illness. The work a family member must do for a loved one is one thing. The pain they must endure is another.
It's the guy here that stays at home that's taking the beating. And that's the guy that you got to be concerned with. Because the patient is oblivious to a lot of things.
It's easy to just turn around and walk away from it. And believe me, I did a couple times.
But it's the heartbreak for the guy for the person that has to live with it. Because it just completely changes things, you know, life is no longer life.
Take care of yourself. Try not to fold up under stress or depression. I ended up in the hospital in a very depressed state. If you feel like you're depressed, go take care of it. See a doctor. Make sure that you eat, make sure that you sleep, and that you get out a little bit.
Humor is a great thing. I love humor, so I have to find a reason to laugh. You have to take time for yourself. You have to give yourself simple little pleasures and treats. Chocolate works well for me.
When I walk her up to the park. And I stop and I look at her and she looks very content. You have to take that and run with it. You're not going to make it in big leaps and bounds. You're going to do it in small baby steps.
I would love it when I go to visit if he would just even say my name. For a while he called me wife, but he's never called me Barbara. He just don't recognize the kids, and that breaks my heart. That's about the most emotional thing. When I go to see him, I never know what I'm going to run into. One day he might be sitting up in a chair dressed, and the next day he will not even get out of bed. He'll stay there all day long.
You always expect miracles, wonders. So you take every little, what you call a success, and take it as a success. If it's just a small thing.
But the family has got to realize that they're no longer dealing with the person that they knew. And they just have to accept it and do the best with it.
I just know my Bob is gone.
Acceptance is really a very difficult thing when you experience something like this. And everybody's not going to accept at the same time or the same pace, so you kind of have to work with each other on that.
I had a great support system with my children and with my own family relatives and Norm's family. They were just great. They were there anytime I needed them, and they were there sometimes when I didn't need them, you know, go home.
Life is never the same after a loved one's illness. My father was diagnosed when he was 55 years old. I'm an only child, and all of his care fell onto my shoulders. From the moment he became ill, I looked at everything in life differently. Now that he's gone, I can finally see how caring for him changed my life. I met the man who would become my husband while caring for my father. We've been married for 13 years and have 3 children. My father never knew it, but he gave me a gift by teaching me to love without expecting anything in return. His legacy is my family.
You have to take into account your parent and loved one have lived a good life. Your parents come to this age with great faith. They've made decisions. They've buried their loved ones, their siblings, their parents. Even my mom, laying in bed, said, "Joe, I'm ready." The sad thing is, I'm not. I don't know what you go through physically, but for a moment, a second, it seems like an eternity, the physical being is gone. That happened with me. I'm sitting talking to Mom, and Mom's coming with these revelations, you know, "Joe, don't feel bad, I'm ready. I want to see my mother, my father, I want to see my husband, I want to see my brothers, and I know they're waiting, you know, and it's hard, and it's something just takes your heart and just wrings it right out, and you just say, "You're not, I don't want you to go, Ma." But you hear yourself saying that when you just sit by yourself and think for a moment, I'm being selfish. I'm being real selfish. This person is tired. They're beaten up for your sake, and I believe it's just for your sake only. They try, and they try. And it's time. They put in a hard life, they've loved you, they've sacrificed for you, and even in the state they're in, on oxygen, needles in their arm, being fed by a tube, they're still hanging on because you're unwilling to let go. Let them go. Be happy with their acceptance of it. Learn from it. Life is great. And if you can let them have peace of mind that you're at peace with it. You're at peace with their faith. It doesn't have to be your faith. It's their faith, and that's what's important. Let them go into that next life content and put a smile on your face. That's what life is.
I love you so, I know you know, it breaks my heart, you have to go, you gave it all, I saw you fall, I saw you tall, I saw your all, it's not fair, there's no time, those who love are left behind. I said goodbye, it made me cry, you gave inside.